I'm sitting here with a motherfucking guru. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to Cat Got Your Tongue. I'm here with the motherfucking legendary Benzino. A lot of people don't know your track record and how much you contribute to the culture.
Yeah. I mean, I've done, I think I've done my part,
Man, hey, you done a lot.
I love hip hop, you know what I'm saying? People that probably see me speak before, like, my knowledge of hip hop, it goes back, I was there since really day one almost. Hip hop is 50 years old. So, first time I think I was, I'm 58 now. So I was like 11 years old in my grandfather's basement. So that was probably like, if hip hop was 73, it got introduced to me, I think, in 76, 77.
So from what you saw over the last 50 years, how would you say hip hop has evolved or dissolved? Which one?
That's a good question. I mean, it's done nothing but evolve. What people really have to understand is like where hip hop came from. If they could really kind of like picture in their mind, like the South Bronx was, back in the 70s. If you just go back and look at some YouTube videos or pictures, the South Bronx was like one of the worst conditions that anybody could live in as far as a community. A lot of black and Latino and some white people lived in the South Bronx at the time. And when you look at those, when you look back then, it just was, it was horrible. I mean, buildings and it just was fucked up. And that's where hip hop came out of. So it makes you think like something that people live that in those conditions, you know what I'm saying? Of
Definitely.
Course, it was one of the poorest neighborhoods probably in New York. And a multi-trillion-dollar industry came out of that.
It's crazy.
So if when I look at it, I'm looking at it like, well, damn, if that's where it came from, then imagine what anybody could do in conditions that were not like that, but still struggling conditions, which we all come from. And to me, that just shows how powerful hip hop is and powerful people we are.
Now, living in rural conditions, poor conditions, it makes you creative. It makes you creative.
Yeah, I mean, shit, there's really, I mean, that, what else can you do? I think the more money you have, honestly, you become lazy.
Oh, shit. Now we talking about money now. I have never reached the stature of you, but while we talking about money, I'd like to ask you how much money have you ever touched or been able to touch? Because I know just you being who you are and the different type of business ventures you had, you touch millions. You play with millions.
Yeah, the Source magazine, which I was a part of.
Hold on, tell them again, man.
Yeah. The Source magazine.
The Source magazine, man.
Yeah. Part owner of the Source magazine, and
the reason why you put posters on your motherfucking wall, and you want to be these niggas. It wasn't no social media. You hear me? This was hand to hand. Real life footwork.
Yeah. I mean, everything was outside. Communication was outside. And I was talking the other day and I was just saying it. I'm like, people, even if we had a phone back then, we wasn't even on it that much. I mean, if you had to talk to somebody, if you had to see somebody, if you had to do business with somebody, of course, if you had beef with somebody, you went and seen them. You was outside. in the community, there's something about communication face to face that'll never be duplicated. It don't matter. I understand social media and the computers and the internet, but face-to-face is what really makes things happen. Back then, we was the first really, as far as if you was in a city and you want to know about another city, we really was the only kind of bridge for that, the magazine, the Source magazine. Right. And, kind of started that whole hip-hop journalistic thing that came Vibe, that came XXL later. A lot of great magazines. The Source was the greatest, but there was still a lot of great magazines because at that time, hip hop was so big, it just would be silly that we're only putting 12 artists, per year on our magazines, and there was a lot of artists who deserved to be on covers. So the more magazine, people used to think that I didn't like XXL, and I didn't. Back then, of course, it's competition, but as far as for hip hop, what I'm saying, all those magazines were great.
So tell me this: you being one of the founders, one of the people that built the Source magazines, how do you feel how did you feel? Take me through how you felt when you saw the XXL magazine just come out.
I mean, it's like Coca-Cola, Pepsi. You know what I'm saying? Like, at first we're like, it makes us like, okay, we already had a jump on them. Me and Dave were the owners of the Source.
Okay.
The owners of XXL were somebody that owned back then these magazines called Field and Streaming, Hunting, Illustrated, like a lot of these offset magazines. Like there was a publishing company. So when they started seeing us making money from advertising, then they say, hold up, we can do that and just put somebody else on the cover, and they basically copied it. But the owners were that wasn't in the culture. Again, they owned a distribution of magazines, and their thing was hunting, fishing, golf, digest, a bunch of other shit. And they just got into it because it was profitable, which is business. Again, all this shit back then, being younger, me from the streets, it's fuck everybody. But now, much mature, much more intelligent, what I'm saying? It just made sense,
So tell me this, since we're talking about the XXL magazine, and I know you've been from the streets.
Yes, sir.
I heard stories about you slapping Elliott Wilson.
The Elliott thing. Damn,
is that true?
Okay, Kate.
Is that true?
I kind of choked him up. I really didn't slap him. So I didn't see.
Take me through that day. Tell me what happened.
Well,
Benzino.
let me go before that. Because that's a question ain't nobody ever asked, Cat. Give me some, Cat. God, give me some hell, Cat, because ain't nobody ever asked that
They say
question.
you slapped the shit out this nigga.
No. They probably got that mixed up with something else. But Elliott used to work for us. We hired Elliott. He started with the Source. And Elliott was, he was like assistant editor. He was assistant. He wasn't a big boy journalist yet. He was trying to climb the ranks, which was dope because a lot of guys climbed the ranks and they ended up being amazing journalists, which end up doing movies. A lot of the guys from the Source are doing movies and MTV, producing. I mean, a lot of the alumni from the Source are doing amazing things now, and shout out to all of them. But Elliott, when XXL came, they grabbed Elliott. You know what I'm saying? So Elliott went over there. It just so happened that our office was on Park Ave, and their office was like 3 blocks over. So this was the thing when the Eminem beef was going on, and he put like some cartoon of me and my son, some crazy shit in the back of the mag.
Saying he was playing too much.
So I walked over there, me and my guys walked over there, and went up in there, and he came to the front. You know what I'm saying, just had to snatch him up a little bit, throw him against the wall. Now, this was the crazy things, and I'm not trying to act like, you know what I'm saying, but back then it was like, he took it like a man, you know what I'm saying? He apologized, you know what I'm saying? But his whole staff came up, and I had my guys, and it was the whole staff of the XXL. So, but they wasn't doing nothing. He was telling them, just chill. They wasn't gonna do nothing anyway. So I pointed them, if you ever in your life ever try to
you hold them
with me.
You hold him, you motherfucker.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because you know what I'm saying, I didn't appreciate that. That's my son. Like, don't play with my son. Like, even if you would have did it to me, I still would have did, but you made it worse. And yeah, so after that, it was understanding, and because that was the whole XXL Source, Eminem, Benzino time. And he got caught up in that. Once the situation happened with me and Eminem, XXL found a way for them, hey, we can go all the way crazy with Eminem. You know what I'm saying? So they, you know, like they just partnered up with Eminem at that point. That's when XXL, people don't know, XXL actually partnered up with Interscope Records. So everybody's talking about integrity of the source and all this when I was there, whatever. But when that happened, they actually took over, and a lot of Interscope's artists was going through it, and a lot of other artists wasn't getting their just due. And I don't, you know, people. The reason people probably don't bring up that they're mad at XXL because everybody knew XXL was just a copycat of the source.
Yeah.